The good news is, if you're taking the LSAT in November, there's going to be less material for you to study. Today, I'm going to share with you what I would personally do if I wanted to score a 175 on the LSAT in November 2024 or beyond. For those who don't know me, my name is Steve Schwartz. I personally increased my LSAT score from a 152 to a 175, and I've been teaching the LSAT since 2005. Today, I'm going to share with you my laser approach to LSAT prep, which I use to help my students create their personalized day-by-day study plans. LASER is an acronym standing for Learning, Accuracy, Sections, Exams, and Review, and you can use this framework whenever you're taking the LSAT. The first phase, L for Learning, is building a strong foundation in each section of the LSAT, the different question types. This could involve reading one of those 500-page LSAT prep phone books. This could involve watching course lesson videos, but the idea here is that you're getting acquainted with the LSAT, you're getting familiar with what the LSAT is testing. This might spend at least a couple weeks for you to get the basics down. Next phase, you're moving on to A for accuracy. This is where you're drilling questions by type. For reference, there are roughly 15 different types of logical reasoning questions. You want to focus on the most common ones to start, like necessary assumption, inference, and flaw. Then move on to less common types like strengthen and weaken, and finally save the least common types like parallel reasoning, parallel flaw, and evaluate the argument for last. You can move on from this second phase, A for accuracy, once you're at roughly 70% correct. Next phase, S for sections. This is where you are working on your pacing. You're working out how to allocate your time over the course of the section. For reference, you'll have 35 minutes per section with standard timing. In logical reasoning, the questions are presented in a general order of difficulty, meaning they get harder as the section goes on. So you want to aim to solve the first 10 questions in roughly 10 minutes. If you're aiming for a 165 or above, you build up a time bank that you can then apply to the more difficult questions later in the section. But surprise, the last few are oftentimes slightly easier, maybe to punish those who can't complete the section and reward those who can. The most difficult questions are in the second half, but roughly 15 through 23 when there are 25 or 26 in the section. So this difficult band, I might flag 3 or 4 questions, skip them, and trust that I'll be able to come back to them later. And you want to know quickly if you're going to want to skip it or not. So know what you don't like. For me personally, I don't like the hard science questions. I don't like the abstract ones on aestheticism or moral philosophy. That's just me. You may have your own types. But for me, I'm going to flag these, skip them the second I notice what they are. Same goes, by the way, for lengthy parallel reasoning questions. Every question on the LSAT is worth the same. So there's no reason to get bogged down or stuck on a difficult question, and I would never start the section from the end working backwards, because then you're dealing with the most difficult questions before you get to the easier ones, and I want to lock up those easy points as quickly as possible and secure those raw score points to help me get the highest LSAT score possible. After completing this phase, as for sections, I'm moving on to the fourth phase, E for exams and endurance. Ideally, you want to do at least 10 full-length timed practice tests before your official exam, so that LSAT test day itself will feel like just another run-through. And I would never do these exams on consecutive days because I don't want you to burn out. You want to do ideally 1 or 2 per week so that you'll have time to adequately review your mistakes and the questions you're getting right but getting lucky on, because of course it could have gone the other way. Now, when you're simulating these practice tests, make sure you are strictly timing yourself. With standard timing, it's 2 sections back to back, a 10-minute break, 2 more sections back to back, and that's the exam. And the idea here is that you're working on your endurance so that you're not getting fatigued on section 4 just because it's section 4. So it's really important that you strictly time yourself. You're not pausing the clock to go to the bathroom, get a snack, or check your phone. The LSAT is strictly timed. Take your practice tests in the same way. Now, I'll get to the final phase, R for review, in just a moment. But before I do, I wanted to let you know that if you're aiming for a top score on the LSAT, namely a 170, 175 or above, I'd love to help you out. At LSAT Unplugged, we offer live online classes via Zoom, on-demand video courses, small group coaching, and one-on-one coaching. And for all of our students, we'll create for you a personalized day-by-day study plan based on this laser approach to LSAT prep. You can check out the links below the video to find out more and to book a call with me and my team. We'd be glad to help you out. Now, the final phase, R for review, is based on my Socratic review method framework. The idea here being that for every question you get wrong, every question you have difficulty with, you want to analyze what mistakes you're making and why, so that you can course correct for the future. So you want to systematically look at every single element of the question that you got wrong or had difficulty with so that you can pinpoint what mistakes you're making and why to course correct for the future. You want to look at, was it something confusing regarding the stimulus, LSAC's failure to include key indicator words for evidence and conclusion, or sufficient and necessary conditions. Maybe you misidentified the question stem type, or maybe you were led astray by attempting wrong answer or an unappealing right answer. And so you want to use a templated approach that the same every single time you're analyzing your mistakes so that you can figure out what you're doing wrong and why to correct course for the future, because the exam, of course, repeats itself, the same patterns of reasoning, the same tricks and traps. Don't neglect this. For every exam you take, you want to spend at least 10 minutes per question you got wrong or had difficulty with. So allow adequate time in your schedule to account for that review process. It can be grueling, but it's worth it in the end. Keep a log, like a mistake log or a journal of some kind, documenting your wrong answers, documenting your mistakes, so that you can extract the key lessons learned, the key insights, because every question you get wrong or have difficulty with is an opportunity for you to learn something new. These exams you're taking, it's not just to measure yourself, it's to figure out what your weak areas are so that you can focus on them, drill them on the side, and your next practice test will go even better. Anyway, folks, that's all for now. In the meantime, I'll wish you all the best and take care.